What up, y'all? Welcome to the Blazin A Trail podcast. I am your host, Tut Kailech, a.k.a. K1. This podcast is all about giving the listeners a certain mindset and a certain amount of tools in their toolkit so they can start blazing their own path. As you can see, today, we kind of switched it up. We are with some special people. Today, we got an entrepreneurial duo that are my good friends, I hope we are, who have helped me in many ways. So guest number one, you'll have to guess, is a co-owner at Ink Alley ScreenPrint Design, a UNL grad, a recent fiance, a graphic designer, a mentor of mine for YATO. Guest number two is a co-owner at Ink Alley ScreenPrint Design, also another UNL grad, a marketer, another mentor for YATO, especially at the beginning. Trailblazers out there, everybody, please welcome Jacob Williams and Jason Gieselman to the podcast, baby.
Thanks for having us on today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you guys for being here.
It's going to be a blast.
So, we were going to do it on Zoom last week, but that ain't work out. But we're still here. So, these guys have helped YATO kind of become solidified, because I came to them with an idea for a logo, and they kind of threw out ideas for shirts. They came up with the box logo, so shout out to them. So they've helped me on this path big time. So we're gonna start out with just the background, just so people can understand how you guys got to this point, because a lot of people on this entrepreneurial path think that it has to be set in stone right away. So we're gonna start with your background. So Jason, we'll start with you. Where are you from?
Yeah. So I'm from Malcolm, Nebraska, just outside of Lincoln originally. Grew up there, went to SEC in town, got a degree in visual publications, which focused more on the technical design aspect, learning the software, Illustrator, Adobe products. And then about that time, Jacob and I started just kicking around the idea of doing our own thing. At that point, we had both had experience in screen printing, and I'll let Jacob tell his own story, but we started, just kicking around the idea, getting some thoughts in our heads. And then, like you mentioned, I went to UNL, got a degree in advertising and public relations, and right about the time I was finishing that up, we started this, and now it's been going 5 years.
And it's not easy, y'all. So yeah, Jacob, where are you from?
I'm from Seward, Nebraska, which is not too far from Malcolm, where Jason grew up. It's about 20 minutes west of Lincoln. I graduated from there and went to UNL. Graduated from UNL in 2011, and then since then, the first job that I had out of college was with a company that did basically the same thing that we do here. Their production facility was in Michigan, and I was a sales manager for a location that they were opening in Lincoln. So that was my first job out of college. So, since then I've been in kind of the print industry, advertising, marketing industry for, 10 years. So like Jason mentioned, we started Ink Alley about 5.5 years ago. So at that point we had both had some experience, doing what we do today. But obviously when you jump in and do a deep dive on your own, it kind of takes it to a whole nother level. So
Yes.
We've learned a lot over the journey. Like Tut, you mentioned, it's not easy.
No.
There's a lot of obstacles, but Jason and I kind of create a nice yin and yang, and we play off each other. I think a lot of his strengths are a lot of my weaknesses, and,
Yes.
and vice versa. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, I agree on the aspect of a lot of the times people think in order to be like an entrepreneur, you have to do everything yourself. And that could also be detrimental to your growth. And it's about collaborating with people and finding, like you guys said, the yin and the yang. So finding somebody who can complement your weaknesses. So that's a good point. So how long have you guys known each other?
We've known each other probably since middle school or high school. We became closer friends in college. And then, post-college kind of having similar, career goals and whatnot. I think we gravitated towards each other more. And then once we started talking about the idea of doing this,
Yeah.
we were together almost 24/7
Yeah.
there for a few years until, my fiance came into the picture.
And I think, Tut, that you what you mentioned is that you've got to find people, and whether it's business partners or employees that complement you and that you work well with. And I think that's really kind of the whole reason that we kind of went this route. Jason and I remember specifically, well, I kind of remember, we were at Barry's Bar, and we were, I think we were down in 10 Below, and this was probably a year or two before we actually started Ink Alley, but we had both had experience in the print industry, and myself, I think I can speak for Jason too. I think that we both always kind of wanted to be our own boss and do our own thing, and and that was the whole reason that really the conversation started, is because I think he knew that I had some strengths where he maybe had weaknesses, and I knew the exact same thing. I'm not a designer by trade. I feel like I've got a good eye for design, but I couldn't tell you the first thing about going into Adobe Illustrator and creating a design, where I knew that's...
Give that to Jason.
Yeah, where I was lacking on that Jason would kind of pull that weight there. So it really made sense to both of us, and it made sense obviously a little bit more because we had a few drinks in us, but and that's where I think a lot of business ideas start, is at the bar. But so it's kind of that's kind of the root origins of our story.
Yeah. And on the flip side of what he said, I had a design background, and I've always had an interest in business, and I've always wanted to work for myself, but I didn't have any experience, and I don't know if I had the confidence, especially at that time, I know I didn't, to go out and do anything on my own.
Yeah.
And knowing that he at that point had already had experience in sales, I know that he has a great business acumen. So, I think that we complement each other really well. I think that we have like a shared vision for the company, for the business, our future and everything, but we definitely cover each other's blind spots.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to kind of get back to the mindset. So when was the first time in your younger years that you can kind of pinpoint that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or did something that you can look back now and say that was entrepreneurial? It's kind of hard.
And this was kind of, I was probably 6 or 7 or 8, and my grandpa was a fisherman, and he always would use like night crawlers, and he encouraged my brother and I, my brother's 19 months older than me, to, when it rained, go collect night crawlers, and then we'd save them, and then we would sell them. And we had a yard sign in our front lawn, and we would sell like a dozen night crawlers for like $1.50 or whatever. And my parents' house in Seward is on like kind of a main thoroughfare, so we always made decent money doing that. And at a young age, obviously, like, it sounds gross now, like selling night crawlers or whatever, but that's the first time that I remember that. It was kind of like people talk about lemonade stands when they're a kid or whatever, but that's kind of the first dose that I got, however trivial it was, with kind of that business side of things.
That's funny. Yeah, I'd never heard that story.
Yeah.
Mine's not Nightcrawler involved, but pretty similar otherwise. I remember I used to just draw cartoons. Like when I was a kid, I'd sketch little cartoons and sell them to the neighbors for $0.25 or whatever. So that was probably the first time I got into actually like selling something of my own work, getting a taste for that. And I think I've also I think Jacob and I both are incentive driven. I've never really been a fan of the like clock in, get a paycheck. I'd much rather, I worked in service industry, bartending, serving through college, and I would much rather feel like I'm earning my keep.
Exactly.
And I know that's not for everybody. A lot of people want the stability of a paycheck, and there's nothing wrong with that at all either. No. But for me personally, I guess maybe I'm a little more willing to take the risk.
Yes.
And at the time when we started Ink Alley, we talk about this looking back, and I think we knew it in the time, in that moment, but we could take the risk because really outside of work and our careers, Jason and I both didn't have girlfriends. We obviously didn't have kids, a family. Like we were only supporting ourselves. So, I think we were lucky to start it when we did, because I talk to a lot of people now that are, want to go out on their own or do their own thing. And, not that like a family weighs them down, but there's other aspects of life that are priorities for people. And it makes the decision so much harder. Back then, like when I would talk to people that are like, well, I've got this idea, I would just say, like, if you think that it's a good idea and you think that you can be passionate about it, then just do it. Make the jump, give it a try. And if it doesn't work, and you tried your hardest, then you tried it, and you can say that you tried it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you'll learn something from it one way or another.
Exactly. There's something you're going to take from it.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
okay, now we're going to go kind of progress. So what led you guys to pursue college? We'll start with Jacob. What led you to pursue college? And what, you already said what major, so go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it was always kind of a thing. I don't remember a specific point that I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go to college. I think whether it was like instilled in me by my parents
The
or
culture
what,
norm.
it was just kind of, kind of like that. It was like, well, I'd get okay grades. I get good grades. Like, I'm going to go to college because that's what people do after high school. Like, I didn't at that time, and I think a lot of kids are in this kind of situation. Like, when you're 18, you have no idea what you want to do. My first 2 years of college, I was undecided as far as a major. I knew I probably wanted to do business, but I wanted to kind of get my feet set under me and figure out exactly if that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like a certain point in time where I was like, okay, college is for me. It was just kind of always like, I knew I wanted to go to college, but when that time came, I applied for UNL. UNL is the only place that I applied for. I wanted to stay somewhat close to home and get that college experience. A lot of my friends wanted to go to like a smaller school and pursue like athletics, whether it's like football, basketball, track. And I never really wanted to do that. Like, I played, basketball and football in high school, but I wasn't good enough to go to college for it. And I always looked at UNL as like, this is the college experience that I want, like a bigger school, game days, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The college experience that you see on TV and in the movies. So that's kind of, it was just always kind of a given for me. And yeah.
What about you, Jason?
I mean, can I just say the same thing?
Yeah.
I see those answers. Yeah, and like what you said too. I mean, it really is just kind of like culturally expected. It seems like
Exactly.
you go to high school, you go to college. If you don't graduate high school, you don't graduate college. You're not gonna have the opportunities. It seems like that's just enforced in people, at a young age. And I don't necessarily believe that to be fact.
Same.
Not at all. Not at all anymore.
No.
Right. But at that age, you don't know any different. That's what the people older than you, wiser than you, are telling you. Your teachers, your parents, everyone you look up to is telling you that. And
Exactly. I think
so,
Jack and Nelson, we had episode 7. We were literally just talking about how college isn't for everybody, but it's almost a norm for you to go to college. So some kids just go in the aspect of so they don't get ridiculed for not going.
sure.
100%.
But then next thing you know, all these adverse effects come from it, all this debt.
Yep.
And sometimes there's kids that go undecided for hella years and still don't know. Well, it's good that you kind of still had an idea, but you want to get your feet wet, which is important. So we were like, should people go the community college route so they can kind of get more of an idea so they can at least have those 2 years? And if they want to go for 4, they can. But if not, I think it's important that people get their feet wet, and college is not the end-all, be-all.
Yeah.
It could be trade school, it could be anything like that. So now, going down this route, knowing what you know now, what is something you would have done differently in college?
I would have probably gone Jacob's route. I would have just gone to big school.
Wouldn't have gone my route.
Yeah. I mean, I left out a little part when I was going through my history. I did spend a couple semesters at the NAIA level. Coming from a small school, you play every sport.
Yep.
So for a moment in time, I thought I was going to be a teacher and a coach. That was what I was aspiring to be, when I was 18, 19, before I realized that there's a whole other world out there. So knowing what I know now, I maybe would have gone to the university. I would have maybe pursued getting involved in different clubs, organizations, networking, because I see how that could benefit me now.
Exactly.
But hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah. I think that's funny that Jason says that he would go my route, because I think that the biggest thing that I gained from a 4-year college was 100% like the growth personally for like interpersonal skills, meeting people, connections, stuff like that. I mean, I can't tell you like how many people I met in college that I'm still friends with today that have helped me some way personally or professionally. Can't tell you anything about any of the classes that I took.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
I think the business college was great for getting a general knowledge
Yes.
of business, and so I don't want to talk bad about the university at all. But looking back on a 4-year university, and I'm a big fan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mike Rowe.
Mike what?
Mike Rowe.
Mike
And he's an actor. He does a lot of voiceover work. He's on like the Discovery Channel. He's the voice guy for Deadliest Catch.
Whoa.
He's got a foundation now, but his big thing is he pushes. It's the Micro Works Foundation. He pushes kids getting education in trades
Yes.
and things that are going to have a utility for somebody to learn a specific skill for the rest of their life. Because
I
at
love
the
it.
end of the day, you're always going to be sought over
Exactly.
or sought over if you have a specific skill that people need. So I've been a big fan of his, and I think it's just hindsight. Now I look back, and I'm glad that I went to university, but not everybody is cut out for going to a 4-year college. And I think that society in and of itself kind of pushes that, like we talked
Yes.
about, but it shouldn't be that way, because a lot of people just go to college because it's expected, go to a 4-year university and
Yep.
really don't get a lot out of it. So I think that at that point in your life, when you especially don't know at all what you want to do with your life, it might be good to take a step back, maybe take a year off,
I
go
agree.
travel,
I agree.
and
Especially if you have
figure out
no-
what you might be passionate about.
Yes, especially if you have no other priorities. Like, I didn't have a girlfriend when I started YATO, and if I had one, it probably wouldn't have started.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about with
Yeah.
priorities before.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's like,
It's
I
a
don't-
time commitment.
yes, I don't want to live with regret. So, especially if you're on the fence about something, just start.
Yeah.
That's what we always talk about. Just start on the journey. You won't see, your goal right in front of you in the next year or two. But it's a journey. So you have to work towards bettering yourself, pushing yourself, and taking those risks. Especially if you have no girlfriend, you don't have a kid. So yeah, now, disregarding what you guys said about that, what piece of advice would you give to these recent college grads who want to become entrepreneurs? Is it an innate thing, or is it a learned thing?
I think it can be both.
Same.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think it's like one size fits all for anybody, and I think that right now, I think it's tough for graduates. Obviously, with COVID, things have been tough for everybody, and that hasn't missed business at all. So it's really important, I think, for college graduates right now to be driven and to just, finding a job especially, or starting your own thing,
Yes.
is one of the hardest things that you'll do.
Yes.
It's not for the weary, but you gotta go after it, and you gotta do it. There's no substitute for hard work. You'll find that in
Not
every
at all.
aspect of life. Knowledge and hard work are going to be your best friends. It's a grind.
Yeah, I think it's really important also for people to set goals. And
Yes.
that might sound silly to say, like a no-brainer, but
Write it
I do think a
down.
lot of people dream. They have dreams.
Yes.
They don't have goals.
Goals,
They don't
yes.
have measurable goals and
Yes.
stepping stones to achieve their dreams, if you
Yes.
will. I think that's a big thing too. It's great to have dreams. It's great to have big ideas, but if you don't have a plan of action or metrics to measure your success and failure
It'll work
rates,
out.
then you could get lucky
Yeah.
and still get there, but the odds are stacked against you in that case.
There's something going on. We kind of talked about it. It's called the law of attraction. People think positive thoughts do help. They work, but they only work if you work. So a lot of people, I'm going to be a millionaire by this age, yada, 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 but they're not doing the work necessary in order for them to become a millionaire by that time. A lot of them just, like you said, they just dream. But if you don't have anything written down, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, it's not going to happen. So it's important that you kind of have a realistic goal and then these kind of milestones that will reach you to that point, because it's a gradual process. Real progress takes time.
100%.
So
Yeah.
now let's talk about Ink Alley. So we kind of talked about the background story, but I know you guys had some difficulties with the name at the beginning, because what was it called before?
It was called our first name, and getting to this name was a process in and of itself.
Talk about it.
You know, Jason and I would, you know, meet up at a coffee shop or at a bar or whatever and just scribble on a napkin like ideas. But we got to our first name and it was Print and Design, and we loved it. I think we had ordered like business cards. We got a domain name. You know, we did everything that we thought that we had to do to make that name happen. And then we went to the Secretary of State's office, and they said that there was a company with a similar name in Omaha, and that we would have to get, you know, their blessing to use our name. So they gave us the contact info. We gave him a call, and he said, you know, let me think about it over the weekend, and I'll get back to you. I think the company, from what I remember, I think they were kind of a company that did screen printing, but it was kind of like a basement operation. It was just a one-man operation. You know, when we tried to Google it, I don't think we found a whole lot, but they gave us contact information. He never called us back. He emailed me back the next week, and he's like, sorry, guys, I just can't let you use that name. Dang. So at that time, and Jason and I used to talk about this, like, hindsight, obviously, it wasn't that big a deal. Like, we just go back to the drawing board. But at that time, like, it was the biggest thing that we had to do to that point, and we were, like, already, we had kind of the identity in this name, and we were just crushed. And we're back to the drawing board. And finally, I think a couple days later, we came up with Ink Alley ScreenPrint Design. And now I look back and I'm like, I hate Inkwell. I love Ink Alley. But in the moment, it was such a crushing thing. And I look back and I'm like, why did I worry so much about that? But you're always, I think, as an entrepreneur, to make a lesson out of it, like, you're always going to make mountains out of molehills. I think part of that's just my personality and kind of my cognition, but yeah, there's real problems and there's problems like that, and we made it over that hump in like a day, and it wasn't really that big a deal. But yeah, looking back, it's kind of funny.
It is funny. It's something you get really excited about until it's time to sit down and do it, and then you're like, oh man, we're too close to this.
Yeah, and I think it's because, you know, like I said, I think we had ordered business cards. We had, you know, gotten the domain. I think we were talking about signage and stuff like that. So it was just like, damn, I got to do all that over again.
Yeah, it was personal.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning, how did you guys raise capital, or were you guys going the bootstrap way of just saving money? So this could be very beneficial to, if you guys are starting a business. This is definitely something you guys can learn from my boys here. So raising capital for your venture, or did you guys go the saving route?
Well, I was going to say we had savings, but also, I mean, the industry that we got into, screen printing, has kind of low barriers of entry and low startup costs. So that worked in our favor as well. I mean, that was certainly something we considered. It wasn't just luck, you know, by any means. But yeah, we're fortunate. Like Jacob said, we'd been working in the professional world for a while and had money put away. So low startup costs, low barriers of entry. And we've always been frugal as a business, and, you know, we try not to bite off more than we can chew. I know a lot of people, they want to go raise capital. They want to go lease a big space, hire employees, and they just want to jump in, hit the ground running. For us, we wanted to just kind of do proof of concept, show that we could do it.
But it's not the same, like, across industries. So like Jason said, screen printing generally has a low barrier of entry financially. And we were lucky enough to have some saved. I think, you know, total startup costs for us were around probably $15,000 or $20,000. So it really wasn't a huge chunk of change. That might be a huge chunk of change for some people. We were just lucky to have some saved. I mean, I had been in the working world for, you know, 4 or 5 years at that point.
Exactly.
Jason, you know, had some saved as well. So we were lucky in that regard, but it's not the same, you know, across industries and depending on what you want to do. I think the biggest thing for us, like Jason touched on, is we have always been, you know, very frugal and very kind of dialed in on our numbers and what we can afford and what our next steps are. So we've never, you know, bit off more than we can chew, like he said. All of our, like, equipment purchases or hires or any capital intensive, you know, business activity that we're doing, we really kind of crunch the numbers and know where we're at and know that we can make it work. And I think I've said this before, I don't know if it's just how I look at it, but like with an equipment purchase or with a hire, I feel like there's some innate sense that both Jason and I have, and this is probably totally wrong, but it just seems like with those things, our timing has always been great. It's always been outstanding. And I don't know if that's luck or what, or if I'm perceiving it wrong, but yeah, we were very frugal in the beginning, and I'd urge people to be frugal.
Yes.
Don't spend money that you don't have.
Yes.
Unless you absolutely need to. A lot of people have this mindset of their business, and they see their business in like the long term, and they're like, oh, I want that flashy space. I want that, the big lease space. And then they go out and they do that, and they're totally stuck.
Yes.
Because they made this commitment that they really couldn't deliver on. So Jason and I started out of an alley. We had 1,200 square feet. We found the smallest space downtown that we could possibly afford, and I think our rent there was like $500 a month.
Cheaper than our apartment rent.
Yeah.
I think they're advertising it as storage.
Yeah. It was 100%. Like, it was an old office for a sporting goods store. So it was just in the back of the sporting goods store. And we had to tear out basically every wall in that, and we did everything ourselves. I would encourage people, if they have that mindset, if they want to make it work, like, you'll do really anything to make it work. So that's kind of where we were at that time.
And I've told people this too. If we had started off with the equipment we have now, if we had gotten loans, if we had gotten investors, we'd gone and bought this equipment, we would have likely been out of business in 6 months.
Probably.
I mean, we've grown to where we are now. It isn't just that we decided to do it and did it the next day.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important for a business. Like, we started off and we didn't have a lot into it, and we were profitable the first month that we were open, which was great for just like our mindset and like the trajectory of the business. We're like, okay, we can make this work. I didn't expect to be profitable my first month.
First year.
Yeah.
You don't expect to be profitable.
But first month?
Like Jason said earlier, it was kind of a proof of concept, and it's like, okay, we did it, we knocked it out, and let's keep going.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. We'll have a word from our sponsor. This podcast episode was brought to you by Ink Alley ScreenPrint Design. Ink Alley specializes in screen printing, embroidery, and graphic design services. They work with businesses, nonprofits, and events here locally, regionally, and nationally for all their custom apparel needs. They have been in business for 5 years and love being a part of the Lincoln community. Back to scheduled programming. Thank you to the sponsor. So we're going to talk more about the business. So, Jacob, with your history working with other screen printing businesses, and also with you, Jason, how did you guys build a successful customer base? How should somebody go about that, building a customer base?
Reach out to everyone you know. Reach out to everyone you know and let them know what you're doing. Jacob was living in Chicago prior to us opening Ink Alley, and as far as I know, you just reached out to everyone that you'd previously worked with, everyone you knew. I was doing the same. Everyone that I'd gone to school with that I knew was working at some company that could use T-shirts.
Exactly.
I was letting everyone know, just get on the radar. Just, hey,
Yes.
we're looking to open this up, and we'll be offering custom apparel services to businesses, events, organizations. So let me know if you need a quote. And I mean, within a few months, people, the requests are coming in. Again, it's a thing that doesn't happen overnight, but you put yourself out there, and then maybe 6 months, a year down the road, someone is reaching out. Hey, I remember you said you were doing that thing. You still doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's like in the beginning, that's all I did was reach out to people that I had worked with in the past, friends, family, stuff like that. And just like Jason said, letting them know what we did. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. And I was lucky enough to have worked in, the print industry, not just screen printing, but all different types of print, offset, wide format, stuff like that. So I knew who, even if I didn't know somebody at an organization, I knew the name of the job title that I would need to reach out to, who was going to be the buyer for our service or our product. So that was a huge knowledge base for me, was just knowing who I'm gonna have to reach out to, even if I don't know them, to give them a cold call. And in the beginning, I was doing cold calling a couple hours a day because I had time to do that.
Exactly.
That really fell by the wayside pretty quickly because Jason and I, at that time, we were doing everything ourselves. So Jason was doing artwork, proofing, and then we were both doing, I was doing sales, and then we were doing production. So, we'd get a job in, and we would, burn the screen, wash the screen, get ink on it, and we would go back in the back and print shirts for a couple hours. So, yeah, like in the beginning, we were obviously, stretched pretty thin once we started getting consistent work. And that's kind of when we started thinking about, well, how about a production manager so that I can, for myself, so I can focus on growing the business. And it's always kind of a give and take, I think. It's to this day. I mean, I don't do a ton of selling anymore. I can't tell you the last time I made a cold call or a call to somebody. And I wish that I could, but it's, like I said, it's a give and take with production, which is a good thing. That's fine. That's great. I'm happy that we're in that position.
Mm-hmm. So with the rate of how fast Lincoln is growing, so there's going to be a good amount of competition in a lot of industries. So let's just say you're not a screen printing business. Let's say you're just a new business starting out. How do you market your company so you can actually get in the door? Because like you said, there's a low barrier of entry for screen print and design.
Which is a good and bad thing.
Yes.
Right.
So like, what is it? How did you guys market your company in order to separate yourselves from the competition?
I think that since it was just Jacob and I, we were able to handle every aspect.
Yeah.
So when we're talking to a client, they're talking to the owner of the company.
Exactly.
We're printing the shirts. We don't send anything out that we don't approve.
Exactly.
So I think we had a great opportunity at the beginning to really have that one-on-one conversation with people, create relationships with people, and then our quality of product. Like, I'll stand by it still to this day. The team
Same.
we have in back, yeah, there you go. Our production team's incredible. We brought John on, our account manager, a few years ago.
Shout out, John.
Best in the game.
What's up, John?
Best in the game. So yeah, I think that we're a small team and everyone cares, and I think that people can tell.
Yeah.
I think our clients can tell.
Yeah, it's that you've got to, especially when the team grows. Like I said, Jason and I were doing everything off the, in the beginning, and now it's we've got to. Obviously, for me, my personality, like, it's hard for me to separate like myself from the actual production aspect. I'm a horrible micromanager. That's something I'll fess up to. But yeah, you've got to have team members that care, and at the end of the day, like, we're responsible to our clients, and we answer to them. So if they're not happy, like, we're not happy. Like, you don't grow a business with unhappy clients. So, like, that's our goal from the very beginning when we first start talking to a new client or repeat client, anything. We want to guide them through the process as easily and as efficiently as possible to get them, even if they don't know what they want in the beginning. And I'll tell you, most clients that come to us don't know what they want.
Of course.
They think they might know what they want, but a lot of times they don't.
Just like I
so.
did.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know this idea.
Yeah.
Help me do this.
Yeah,
but and I think a lot of people, even to take that a step further, they think they know what they want in the sense that, like, they've got a design, like an idea on a shirt, and a lot of times we'll say, okay, this is what you've asked me for, but I really think for your event or for your business, like, you're going to be better suited to do this, whether it's tweaking the artwork, tweaking the product. So I think that it's a collaborative process between ourselves and our clients. And I think at the end of the day, if you go above and beyond and get them something that they're going to be, like, spectacularly happy with, like, that's just good for your business. It's good for them. If your clients are growing, you're growing. And we've always looked at it like that.
So in a lot of industries, there's a lot of pros and cons. So especially with being an entrepreneur, it's cool right now in the social media sphere. So people need to know all the aspects that come with it. So how has an entrepreneur affected your family and social life?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a good question, Tut. And I mean, I wouldn't say that it's affected it negatively at all.
For sure.
I think that, like we touched on earlier, when we started, we didn't have a girlfriend, we didn't have kids, we didn't have anything like that. But I could see that if you were starting it when you had a wife and you had kids at home, like it would stretch you very, very thin depending on what you were doing. I mean, in the beginning especially, there was a lot of long nights. But
You
we
don't
didn't
care about me.
Yeah. But, that never scared Jason or I at that point. And there's still times, like, I think 2 days ago, I was here till like 7:45. And that's, I mean, that just comes with the territory. And I think that everybody that, like my family and my friends understand that. My girlfriend totally understands that. She runs her own business as well. So she totally gets that.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't say that it's affected negatively at all.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's our personality traits, and so people get that about us.
Yes.
And, we see, like, challenges as opportunities. Like Jacob said, we used to be at the shop maybe until 9, 10 o'clock printing, but it wasn't, like, work to us.
Exactly.
No,
we're grateful to have this.
We'd
Yeah,
get
we
a
get
I'd rather
six-pack
do that
and turn on the
than work.
tunes.
Yeah, exactly. Have a game on and, have a
I'd
couple
rather
cold
do that
ones.
than work a
but,
9 to 5.
well, yeah, exactly.
Because you're
Or
more passionate about it.
100%.
absolutely. Or taking the leap and then not having shirts to print.
Exactly.
If we had taken the leap to start the business and not having stuff to make us be there till 10 o'clock, that's the flip side to it.
Exactly.
It's like, I'd rather be here with the work to do every time.
And that's the thing that I always, Jason touched on, it's our personality type. I always have to remind myself, like when we're super slammed, like I constantly tell myself, I would much rather be in this position than have nothing to do. Because then, like, you're stressed because you're slammed and you want to get jobs out and you want to, get things out for the clients on time. But you would be way more stressed. I would be way more stressed if we didn't have anything to do, because I'd be like, well, how are we going to make our mortgage this month or whatever? So I think that's just my personality. I'm going to be stressed, like a medium level of stress regardless. So I'd much rather it be the busy type than the not busy type.
Yeah.
So,
And now we have employees, working for us too. So now it isn't just us. It isn't just, well, we have savings so we could get by on a slow month. Now it's like we got guys who have families that are relying on the paychecks that we provide. So, there's a little heightened sense of
and I think it's
stress, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that an important point for any entrepreneur, especially like if you are to the point where you're gonna hire employees, they work for you in a sense, but you work for them in the same exact sense.
yes.
You're providing for them, and it's always been important for Jason and I to create a good culture here, and to create a culture where people don't dread coming to work. And that's hard work in a sense. Like, you've got different personalities to manage. You've got, different people. You got different issues. So you work for them as much as they work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much more a team effort. Like, we can't do it without them. And, it's a voluntary agreement. We agree to pay them money to do the job, and they agree to do the job, and we want them to be happy here. We want them to feel comfortable here and everything. But it's not the most glamorous job, and, I think anybody's going to say that it is. So we do want to make sure that they're appreciated.
Perfect. Because the question I was going to ask is how have you dealt with the workload? So we got that out of the way. So as for guys starting up, what are some key activities that you would recommend to entrepreneurs to invest their time in?
Reading.
Could it be reading?
Reading, podcasts, yeah.
Knowledge and I forgot what you said, Jason. Knowledge and something else
Hard
should
work.
be your best friend. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Knowledge and hard work. And I say reading now, and I haven't read enough lately, but I think that, knowledge, read as much as you can.
Yes.
And it doesn't even have to be specific to what you're doing, whether it's a self-help book or, whatever.
History,
History,
finance,
anything.
It's all information.
Yeah.
Everything's information.
Now all I read is Twitter. I need to get out of that, but Twitter and Facebook, and I think that a lot of people are in that position too. Like, we get our news from Twitter, we get our news from Facebook. Like, we're just so inundated with that. So it's nice to take a step back and read or go on a walk.
Yes.
Go to the lake, do something.
Yep. And then meet people. You have to have customers no matter what you're selling, a product, service, whatever.
Facts.
You got to have customers that you're selling to. So do something, get out, meet people, network. Jacob and I, we used to go out quite a bit. We'd almost every night, we'd go grab a bite somewhere, go to the bars on the weekends. And, Now
I
looking
can't
back,
tell
that
you
was
how many-
networking.
Yes.
At the time, it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back, I mean, a lot of those people that we met and we'd go meet
Yeah.
up with for, a happy hour here or there. Like at the time, we might have been doing
What
it
do
for
you
fun,
do?
but
Perfect.
Exactly.
we'd end up emptying our wallets of business cards by the
Yeah.
time we'd leave, and we're still working with a lot of those people now. So
Love
yeah,
it.
put yourself out there, network with people.
Yeah.
Especially
Big
if you
time.
believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. You don't have to feel like you're selling something to someone.
Exactly. So, this is a question I'm starting to ask all guests. What motivates you?
And that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think that. Wow, that's tough. I mean, I don't want to like money. Obviously, financially, like that's
It's a tool. It's a tool.
always a motivating factor. But I think that this is kind of vain of me to say, but I want to be perceived as successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
No, this is
everybody
perfect.
down at the core kind of wants to be perceived as successful. And whether we are or not, I have no idea. I think that that's kind of transformed into like now, I think that was me younger, but now like I just want to feel like we're successful and that we're doing good things and a part of a community.
Yes.
Like Lincoln's such a cool community, especially like downtown. We've always been a downtown business, and in the beginning, Jason and I were like, we want to work with these events and these businesses downtown, these bars, restaurants, these 5Ks, whatever. And I think that owning a business and being so involved in the business has opened so many doors for us. It's let us meet so many cool people that we wouldn't have otherwise met. And you really kind of build the community around you. And I think that that's kind of one of our biggest goals, or was one of our biggest goals, still is. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, that is a tough question, and I think it's especially tough because it's always evolving.
Exactly.
When we first started out, it was just him and I. Well, now I have a fiance. I have someone I need to take care of.
Yep.
We're planning our wedding. Like, she owns a house. We're looking at starting a family and, possibly needing to upgrade a house in the next few years. So having that on my horizon, now those are kind of new goals.
Yes.
New challenges, for me. But 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been my answer. And 5 years from now, who knows what my answer will be.
True.
So I think that's always changing, but you just got to stay hungry. Right? You got to stay hungry. I mean, I think we're driven, and different things are maybe motivating us at different times. But
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Since you were talking about it earlier, how do you define success?
I mean,
Because it's, like you said, it's always different for everybody.
Yeah.
From somebody in the third world, from somebody here,
Sure.
from somebody in a small town, big town. How do you define success?
I mean, I kind of tie it to like, and this is probably cliche, but I kind of tie it to like my happiness, my like
Yes.
fulfillment. Like if you're happy doing what you're doing, and like I would tell any kid, any entrepreneur, like your goal should be happiness at the
Yes.
end of the day. Like if you can achieve that, then you have it made.
Exactly.
So I think that's how I kind of qualify success. Like you don't want to be content. Like I've never want to be content. Like I always want to grow the business, grow myself personally, but you're always kind of striving for happiness. And I think that's kind of how I correlate the two.
yeah, no, that's awesome.
What about you? Is that?
I'm gonna go with his answer.
Okay.
Yeah, no, really, I do think it is like self-fulfillment.
It
is really
is.
feeling complete, like more than being content, but actually being like genuinely happy.
I think it's human to feel that. And I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
the things that make all humans happy, food, clothing, shelter, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
So we all have that, but we all have different ways that we think we're successful. So I think that's why it's good to hear from different people what they think. Because everybody thinks it's this, you have to have the mansion, you have to have 40 cars. Like
Yeah.
that's what people think is success, but no. It
But-
could be for that person,
Right.
but for us, it could be different. So that's why I think
Sure.
that
Exactly.
question is important.
And
So-
people are motivated by different factors. People are incentivized differently.
Yes.
Some people feel fulfillment by being successful at their job. Some people feel fulfillment by spending time with their family.
Yes.
So they need to be successful at their job
Exactly.
to provide for their family.
Yes.
And I think that's the good thing about like entrepreneurship or doing your own thing is that like your happiness and your perception of like how things are going as an entrepreneur or as somebody that starts your own business, you can mold the business kind of around that, and you can kind of like get to an end goal or do your day-to-day how you see fit, that's gonna like create that environment for you. So whereas like, you know, a big corporate job or whatever, like you have these tasks that you absolutely have to do. You've got a boss that you need to answer to, and like you have really not a lot of say at the end of the day, like on like what you're doing if you're stuck in that type of position. So I think that's a good thing about being an entrepreneur or somebody that starts a business, is that you can just really mold it to fit you and fit your team.
And then like the one last element of all that is setting goals.
Yes.
You set a goal, you achieve it, you feel good.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yes.
Having a, you know, dream, having a long-term 5-year goal, that's important too. But if you can set little milestones to hit along the way, I mean, those make you feel great.
That's why it's important that people write down almost everything, like even to write something out and have a checkbox next to it. And once you have it done, it's like, so now it's not on your mind anymore. It's out the door. So you have more capacity, more headroom to work for other things.
100%.
Okay, so who are 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
For me, yeah, that's a tough question. I'd say for sure my dad.
Shout out Dad.
Shout out Jimbo. He's always been kind of a mentor to me, and always been somebody that would, you know, have an open ear if I needed to talk, whether it's personally or business. My grandpa as well. He passed a few years ago, but he's kind of the one who always like. He wasn't an entrepreneur, but he always had like a very hard work mindset, and I think that came from just when he grew up. Like he was a child of like the Great Depression and went through that. So when I was a kid, like we did the Nightcrawler thing. You know, both my brother and I had a paper route. Like he was the one who kind of facilitated all that. So I like, especially in the beginning, formative years, he was definitely like
with you.
that guy for me. So I'd say those 2 for sure. Third?
Yeah, that's hard, huh?
Man, go to Jason and come back to me, and I'll find the third.
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot either. Like, my parents, you know, and I've really never sat down and thought about this, but just now thinking about it, my parents have influenced me more than anyone.
For sure.
Hands down. And I'm sure that's probably the case for most people. So it might be a boring answer, but, you know, my dad, extremely hard worker. My mom's hard worker too. My mom, extremely supportive. They've always been there for me. I wouldn't be where I am without them. And this is kind of a cop-out, but like I really do think that have you guys ever heard like you're a composite of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Oh
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you guys. What qualities do you value in people with whom you spend time with? But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. So that's not like a person, but I do think it's very important for people to realize who they surround themselves with. You don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to surround yourself with people.
Never am either.
Yeah, not that I ever have to worry about that, but yeah, surround yourself with people that compliment you. Surround yourself with people that help you grow, that make you a better version of yourself.
Yes.
And don't necessarily aspire to be like one person.
Of course.
I think the ideas are more important necessarily than like historical figures. Leaders are important. It's good to have leaders, but I don't think you need to necessarily worship people so much as look at what ideas they had that were good and what can you take from those.
Yep.
I agree. So, pivot. I was going to ask you guys a lot more questions about your daily life and your daily routine, but we're getting close on time. But I'm going to ask you this, though. What genre of music could we find if we were to look at your Spotify, Apple Music account right now?
That's good. Well, today we have a thing at the shop that we listen to Outkast on Fridays. Outkast, the rap group. They're, such an underappreciated rap group. So we figured we'd give them some play on Fridays. And it just gets everybody in a good mood, honestly. What else have I been listening to? Oh, man, what's a banger? Man, that's tough. You'll find it. I like to say I listen to like everything but like polka. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we stayed late last night and we listened to Phil Collins radio. So, like, it really runs the gamut. Like, I'll listen to anything.
Anything, yeah.
Anything's got a beat. It's uplifting and gets me going, like, especially.
I don't know the last time I listened to Spotify. Whatever my fiance has on is what we're listening to, but she's got good taste.
When you're feeling good, what is a song that you want to, like, rap to, sing to? Do you have, like, a go-to song?
There's too many, man. Like, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire is just the absolute biggest banger ever. Man, what else? I'll throw on Tupac quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's the best rapper of all time.
Yeah.
So I go back to him quite a bit. I don't get out of my comfort zone in music as much as I used to. Which is weird because like I listen to Spotify all the time, and they've got a lot of great tools for you to like discover new
Yeah,
music.
but
I'm always just back on my same stuff.
Songs.
Yeah.
And here at the shop, it really is like we go in phases. It'll be like 3 days of like 90s grunge.
Yeah.
And then it'll be 3 days of rap. And then it'll be 3 days of like Queen radio, like 80s
Simple
rock
Plan.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Just all over the place.
Yeah, we are all over the map, but it keeps us guessing.
What are your hobbies? I know you guys are golfers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is that
good.
one of your main hobbies?
Not well.
Not good, but it's fun.
Yeah. Could always be better.
Yeah,
though.
golf. I've always kind of tried to stay active. So, like, with COVID, it's tough. Like, we used to have a Friday morning basketball crew that would get some games in early before work. Mm-hmm. We haven't done that, obviously. Getting outdoors. Like, I recently bought a boat last summer, so I did quite a bit of boating, on the lake. Taking the dog on a walk, simple stuff like that. Like, I don't like being cooped up, like sitting at home. Like, if I'm just on the couch, like, it just doesn't feel right. I feel like I didn't deserve that time to just relax, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But yeah, just staying active, like golf, big time, like this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same. Yeah, him and I, like I said, we used to be around each other 24/7. We got all the same hobbies.
Yeah.
I like that.
Golf, I bought a couple kayaks. My fiance and I go kayaking every now and
Hell
then.
yeah. I'm
That's a
kind of
blast.
scared about that. I need to try that, though.
Yeah.
I got one
rides.
you can borrow. I never use it.
There you go.
I'm scared, bro.
He's got a boat now. He doesn't need the kayak.
Yeah, kayaking's too much work. You get you got to paddle those things. A boat's got a motor.
Yeah. But it's fun. I mean, I'd say the same thing. Like, I can't sit still. If I'm sitting down, then I have to be, like, watching something on YouTube or reading.
Same.
Like, I need to be consuming some sort of information. Otherwise, I got to be doing something. I don't know. I don't nap. I can't sit still. I got to be doing something, man.
Okay.
Can you trust a guy that doesn't nap? I nap all the time.
I can't nap because I'm on narcolepsy medicine, so I have to. I'm
got
always
you.
up. But
Yeah.
do you spend a lot of time on YouTube? Me, Nelson, we spend a lot. Like,
Yeah,
he
more
told
than I
us-
should.
I think it's like 6 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I'm in front of a TV.
Because it's
for
on
that
the
many
back.
hours,
It's in the
but-
background. I'm listening to it.
Oh, okay,
or-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean, what
have
do you guys listen to
podcasts
or
all the
watching on
time.
YouTube?
It's literally everything. It
Really?
could be about lighting, things you need to know about podcasts, or
Yeah.
I'll watch basketball.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
I'm not
much.
on YouTube a lot. I mean, but I think that YouTube, obviously, like, it's a good tool, like, for entrepreneurs or somebody that wants to learn about something like DIY stuff.
Yes.
If my girlfriend asks me to do something at the house, I feel like I'm pretty handy, but the first thing I do is type it into YouTube. I'm like, all right, I watch a couple videos. But, like, the thing about it is, like, I have such a short attention span. If the video's, like, 15 or 20 minutes long, I'll just scroll through to, like, the like, middle part and be like, okay, then I'll watch the rest of this.
Yeah. Screen printing. You can learn how to screen print. on YouTube.
That's how
That's
we
literally
learn
how we
to screen
learn
print.
on the internet. Yeah.
All right. So it's time to speed it up. We about to have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
10 questions. And we're back. Rapid fire questions. We're going to start with Jason and with Jacob. All right?
Cool.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Speak every language in the world.
Jacob?
Oh, yeah, it's the exact same.
Okay. Most embarrassing store you might be seen at?
Most embarrassing what?
Store.
Store I might be seen at? Returning something for Brie at Ulta.
From what?
Ulta.
Ulta. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I go to Ulta with my girlfriend, and I hate going in there, but yeah, that's it. Ulta.
At what age do you want to retire?
How old are we now?
33, I think.
34.
Realistically, 50.
Yeah. I don't think Jacob or I have the mentality that we would ever walk away, though. So
No,
that's
because
a tough
it's
question.
what you built.
Yeah.
People ask, my fiance, when do you want to retire? When are you going to be done? I'm like,
I'm not
Never.
worried about that.
never probably. Like, it'd be cool to not have to be there, but I'm still going to be there.
All right. First celebrity crush.
I'll go Rachel McAdams. I mean, it wasn't my first, but it's the most
She's the one,
prominent
yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to even think back. I'm probably Britney Spears or something.
Yeah,
I don't
something like
even.
that. Something like that.
Okay, if a gorilla and a grizzly bear fought, who wins?
Gorilla.
Gorilla, 100%.
Oh, there's a lot of people that say grizzly, but okay.
Oh, it's gorilla. I've had this argument multiple times.
Would you ever want to live forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, if you're...
I mean, what's the alternative? Do you want to die?
Yeah, I'll take living. But I don't want to be like 100 years old and have achy bones and stuff like that. Like, if they can figure out how to keep me like in the
your
shape
prime
I'm in
shape,
now,
yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Okay. What does a person need to be happy?
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
All right. If someone were to play you in a movie, who would you want it to be?
Leo.
Hell yeah.
100% Leo.
We could do like Leo and Leo, like in the Social Network. The one guy played the Winklevoss twins. Yeah, I mean, I guess Leo.
Yeah.
It's got to be, right?
Yes. What is something you could eat for a week straight?
Pizza.
What kind? Any?
Any kind, yeah. Pepperoni cream cheese. Yeah.
Oh, cream cheese has to go on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Chipotle.
Ooh.
I'd love me some Chipotle.
Build your
pizza
bowl right
too.
now. Build your bowl right now.
All right,
What would you
it's
put?
got brown rice, fajitas, half chicken, half steak.
Yes.
Mild, medium, hot
You know
salsa. Cheese. I missed the sour cream because I try to keep the calories down a little bit, and then maybe a side of chips.
So everything but sour cream.
Yeah.
Because he's watching his figure. But everything else.
I love it. Jason, what is your hidden talent?
Hidden talent? Oh, man, I don't know if I have any of those.
If he has a talent, you know about it.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what.
Probably.
What about you, Jacob?
Man, I'm kind of the same. I can balance on all fours on like one of those like Bosu balls, like the sitting balls, you know, like for posture. I can balance on one of those for like a day if you ask me to.
What?
That's really my only talent, to be honest.
I can juggle. I don't think that's super impressive.
I can't
but
do it.
I was just doing that at home, and Bree was blown away. So maybe people
That
are
is a
impressed
cool
with
talent.
juggling.
I wish I could do that.
Same. First concert you ever attended?
Oh man.
Oh, wow. I went to the, you guys probably don't even know this band, Kansas and the Sticks. Do you know the Sticks at all? Yeah, they're like an 80s rock band. But I went to that concert when I was in like 6th grade with a couple of my buddies and one of my buddies' parents. It was lit. It was awesome.
I honestly don't remember. I've been to more concerts than I can count over the last 10 years, but the first one I went to, I honestly don't know.
Name one that you can kind of remember.
Oh, I mean, I remember a ton of them. I remember, like, Something Corporate might be one of the first ones I remember going
Corporate?
to. Something Corporate.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
It was like a garage band out of California. They were coming up. They're like the same age I was. They released their
hell
first
yeah.
album when they were in high school. And I've been to a number of their lead singers' concerts since. Probably one of their concerts.
Oh, I asked more than 10 questions. Did you guys enjoy your time on Blazin A Trail?
Had a
I
blast.
loved it, man. No wonder why everybody wants to get in this podcast game.
Yeah.
It's fun, man.
It's
Yeah.
cathartic, bro.
Yeah, it
Everybody
is.
gets to actually like talk.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I loved it, man. Thank
Yeah.
you for having us on.
Do you guys
Todd.
have any questions for us?
I mean, were we a good interview?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
So where can people find you guys and the things you guys are up to?
Cool. InkAlleyShirts.com.
Yeah.
Add Ink Alley Shirts on your socials. We just bought the Alley bar, so you can pop by and check out the new digs anytime.
Yeah, we're on 10th and M downtown Lincoln. We're kind of doing a remodel here right now, so it's kind of hit or miss. But yeah, swing by anytime. We love visitors. Find us, like Jason said, on social media, InkAlleyShirts.com. We're always posting content. That's something we're trying to get better at. So yeah, you can keep up with us like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I would like to thank you all for listening. Remember to leave a review on our podcast, comment below, download the episode. Remember that you are already perfectly in progress. So make sure to follow us on Instagram at Blazin A Trail Podcast. And if you know of a person who would be a great guest on the podcast, make sure to DM me, Jack, Nelson, Jacob, or Jason. And once again, thank you guys for being my guest. And thank you guys for listening to Blazin A Trail Podcast. As always, start with yourself because you are the one. So make it happen.
Thank you, Tut.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us.
fellas. Appreciate it.
What a blast.